We need to raise the standard and continue to raise the standard from the ground up.
Your past conditioning, your beliefs, you need to dump that and unlearn it and make room and opportunity for new stuff to come in.
If you're feeling that feeling at all within your gut, you need to go with it.
You have to have those people on your team who are willing to accept the change, because change is frustrating.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Zach Molesky. I'm one of the partners here at Apps and Asphalt, and today I got a surprise guest. He's actually the man behind the lens. That's always making us look so cool, bringing you guys the great podcasts and the great edits. David Lujan, thank you so much, buddy.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, I'm always behind the camera, and it's fun to be now on this side.
It is, man. And you know what? You always have so much knowledge and just great insight. So it's always fun connecting with him.
Yeah, no, and we always like to have conversations about everything, right? Like about life, about business, about projects, the projects.
Love good projects.
Yeah, but no, it's glad to be here. Hello, guys. And today we want to talk a little about like the last two episodes. Hayden and Zach talk about this transition, right? With Pape America.
Correct.
All the how was that process and all that stuff, but like kind of closing this section or this series of three episodes. These episodes we want to be focused on like the future. Okay.
Sure.
What do you see about like or how do you see the future for NPP, for your personal life, for like even the cruise, the inside of
Yeah, absolutely. Now that things are closed and we're on the other side of the fence, so to speak, and everyone's kind of in motion here, we've got some really good steam going behind us. And it's not just coming from internally, it's externally from a lot of our sister companies that are in the area or underneath the Pape America umbrella. We just finished up a call earlier today. It's always really nice having that continuity with people that are at your level or further beyond that have expertise and kind of, now they're on that other side of the transition too. For me, what I really want to see and what I think is coming is we're going to continue to build on more and more culture over here. I think, and culture is such a word that's thrown out there all the time, but it's really our core values of the company, of who we're becoming and maturing into be. I feel like we were a mature company going into this acquisition, but we're really maturing now post-acquisition because of all of the systems and the processes that they've brought into our business. We've been able to attract really good talent. And, in our industry, when we're a people business, it's really important for us to attract and retain the talent that is good and healthy, that want to go in the right direction, that want to keep rowing in the same direction as us. And so in the future, I want to be able to see, laborers get promoted and become operators, and operators become foremen, and foremen go to superintendents, if that's what they want to be. Sometimes people like where they're at, and that's fine too. But I want this to become a home and become a home long-term for a lot of people. You and I have been doing work together here for a long time. And so same thing goes. Like, I want to see us continue to build a family, and, I'm excited for that piece.
No, and that's exactly what I was going to say. I've been working with you like 3 years and a half now. Yep. I've seen a lot of people that comes like babies, like Hunter, for example. I remember when Hunter started. Yeah. How old is he? Like,
He was 23 when he started with us.
Yeah, and his growth has been crazy. Like he just won the award of the
top salesman
on last month, right?
Yeah, he's had a few months under his belt, and what's crazy is he started as my executive assistant, and so he got the full life of Zach from my home life all the way through business, and pretty much just shadowed everything I did. So he was on job sites with me. He understood my kids' routine and schedule. And understood how I was looking at jobs, what I was looking for efficiencies, how I was negotiating with contractors, material suppliers, and everything else. And, when you have somebody that is really immersing themselves into what you're doing and trying to mimic or imitate and, learn in their own way, it's really good if you have the right mentor, because now he's crushing it. So he's had a few months back to back that are $1 million plus sales months, which equal good money for him. And obviously that's what we look for as a company. We want top performers.
No, and I've seen, even, of course, for me, you've been such an amazing mentor on multiple aspects of my life.
Thanks, bro.
But I have seen, for example, also with Hayden. I mean, Hunter, Hayden, me, we were people that we didn't know anything about this industry, but you had the vision of bringing talented people, not talented in this industry at the moment, but you teach us to teach them, and you have made them to grow on this industry.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. I think I prayed for good people to be in my life. I've been fortunate that they've been presented to be in my life. And, I kind of, it's baptism by fire with a lot of everybody. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is how I want to get stuff done. But it's really been, attracting the right people that you guys are self-starters. You guys have been able to, take what I've given you and then start the building block of it. From that point, usually we're retweaking things a little bit along the way. But I mean, it is pretty crazy when you think about it, how fast everyone came together and was working in the same motion. And, I appreciate what you said about me, like the kudos and stuff, but I would be, wrong to take all of the responsibility, because a lot of you guys are just so dedicated. It keeps me accountable to wanting to make sure that I'm giving you guys what I'm able to at the time.
No, definitely. And of course, it's a matter of two, like the teacher and the student.
Yeah.
And it both needs to be good at what they do.
Absolutely. And then sometimes, like, what we've had too is the student becomes a teacher too. There's things that I learned sometimes where I'm like, the way Hayden handles situations, the way he can see things sometimes at a different point of view is teaches me things. And then, I've seen what Hunter's been able to do for some new guys that we've had on the team as well. Nick, you've been great. And so it's like there's a bunch of many leaders within the organization once you kind of get to that point, and it's like, it's not just Zach's company or, Tanya's company. Everyone feels like there's a bunch of different leaders within the organization, which always makes things easier,
And how do you see, or what do you see on a person that it's valuable for you to bring them to the team, to teach them, to show them the way? What do you?
Yeah.
What could you even suggest to other people that hires people?
Yeah. No, that's great. I think there's a willingness to want to learn. There's a certain amount of questions that are being asked, which show that this person's very interested in learning your craft and what you've got going on. Continuing to ask questions, but then also, a self-starter, someone who can get going without being told what to do, someone that kind of sees the motion of where everybody's going and how things are flowing and kind of can fit in and help push and traject in the right direction, because, this isn't a business where you can delegate everybody's step every single day along the way, unless that is your job, but being able to ask a lot of questions, ask the right questions, and then pick up what's really important, finding out what's moving the needle for that person along the way, whether it's negotiations, whether it's, hard, business to business selling. Is it, the purchase orders and buyouts after the project's been done? And maybe it's everything, but understanding what the key components are for, for a business, and what's the driving factor. When you when you incorporate those things as a young student and you really start honing in on them, it makes ripple effects throughout the organization at a low level. And so those are the best ones that I like. I like someone who's eager, who wants to learn, who's asking a lot of questions, someone who's well-spoken with people skills, doesn't necessarily need to be perfect, but just personable. Someone that I genuinely have a connection with, that I think has good morals, integrity, and a good moral compass. Those are what I'm looking for typically. And I think a lot of the owners and presidents are, you know.
No, and that's great, because I've seen, like I said, the last 3.5 years I've been in this company, working all kind of projects and situations and everything. And I see how you select good people and you bring them. It's a curve of learning that to have them in the right way. But now the position that Hayden's have, Hunter, the new ones, it's pretty impressive.
Thanks, man. That means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you.
And what about your kind of new students for life, your kids?
My kids.
Because those are the...
You know what? As a parent, you're always thinking like, man, am I doing enough with my kids? Am I teaching them enough? Am I teaching them the wrong things, you know? One thing that I do remember about me growing up is I was always with my mom or my dad, and they were all, at a very early age, they had cell phones when they first came out. So I was hearing them talk to employees. I was hearing how they were talking to employees, which is good, pretty good for the most part. I learned how they were, you know, my dad, I remember listening to him negotiate deals over the phone, selling contracts, and then going and visiting job sites and learning about some of the small efficiencies along the way. And him even just mentioning why those things were important were things that subconsciously were ingrained into my mind as I grew up, which have been small little cheat codes, I feel like. When with my kids, I'm like, man, I hope I'm doing enough. I hope I'm doing enough. I'm to the point now where I can see how my daughter, who's a very quiet and inward person, you know, she has those boss traits though. Like I've watched her as she's gotten older, like take on more and more little things, and I'm like listen to her, how she talks to, you know, her boss at her new first job, and how she negotiated her rate up a little bit more, and how, you know, she stays on top of the things that she wants from her employment, and just making sure that she's you know, like keeping her thumb on it. So those are like the things that I'm so incredibly proud of. And you know, Brandon's the same way. He's like, he does some crazy stuff though, you know, like he's over here taking candy, he's like selling it for $1, and then he's coming back and he's like, I'm gonna get some more stuff and I'm gonna go sit back and sell it. So he's got like that hustler mindset, you know. Jaden's got that. She, even though she's quiet, she's not to be played with. She's like, nope, this is just the way it's gonna be, which is great for, you know, a young woman growing up. So we'll see how things pan out, and if they end up in the same industry, I would presume that at some point, you know, things circle back to the family business, because, you know, I think that's how real wealth is built, and how real waves are made, and currents flow throughout different sections of life, especially like in business. If you kind of look back through like the Rockefellers, the, you know, Trump, Tesla. All these are like generations of carving on the same craft. So they don't have to, but I would love to see it circle back at some point. So we'll see what happens.
No, and we need to teach people with our actions, right? It's not a matter on, okay, have a seat and we are gonna learn this. No, it's a matter of like showing with actions, with results, with the day-to-day lifestyle and all that stuff. That's the best way to teach someone something, you know?
Yeah.
So, totally. No, that's pretty excited.
Thanks,
excited.
Man. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's good stuff.
And by the other hand, speaking about the future, how do you see the industry on paving? Like, not just NPP, just like the industry
As a whole?
new technologies, new trends.
You bet. I got a few different takes on like the industry on a few different variety of things. The past 3 years we've seen, even probably the last 4 years, we've seen a ton of small companies spring up out of, some of them they started up from my company at one point, or, went to another company and then they started their own business. We've seen a ton of those small companies start up. I think even in the short time span, we've seen them come up, come down, like open and close. I think we're going to start to see some of those dissipate a little bit more, to where through the times that we're in, the companies that are strong are going to probably come back to recruiting some of those smaller companies that were once looking to do their own thing, and realizing that it's not so easy or so shiny and so fun. It takes a team. So I think we'll probably see some of those companies get either, acquired, consumed, or, just they close doors and go to work for somebody else. I think that we're going to continue to probably see some hardship in like the labor force. We've experienced it for the last 3 years. It's getting harder and harder each year to attract and then retain good help. Everyone's looking for the next dollar, or, the next best thing. So I think that will continue to be an issue, but I think the big separation point are the companies that are attracting and retaining good help. Like, it's not going to be so much of who's the best selling company anymore. It's who's got the capability of producing at those rates, and like we went at the very beginning of our company, we're such a high sales company, and it was at times, because we were so sales focused, it was hard to produce. You almost like hit those waves. We're pretty even right now, which keeps everybody happy along the way. We do our best to take care of everybody and stuff. And so I think we're going to continue to see separation in our industry with that. We've also seen a lot of the hardship funding, like the EIDL loans, the stimulus packages that were put out by the government from COVID. All of that stuff is now running out for people. And I think we see it in people are a little bit slower to sign contracts. We see it in some of our competitors. We see it in a few different ways where it's probably starting to show face a little bit. And so we'll probably deal with, or continue to deal with, a little bit of lowballing, I guess, where people are not charging it what they should be just to gain the work. With that being said, if you look even further down the road, that tends to hurt companies worse, because it's you're basically shuffling cash flow, and you don't even realize that you're hurting yourself until the following season, when you're not in the same spot. And so I think we'll probably continue to see a little bit more separation between businesses in our industry, which is going to open up for more business to be consumed by, companies like us, or, others like ourselves as well too, that can pick up that work. So,
and you mentioned like these last 4 years that's been like since the pandemic.
Correct.
Till now.
Yeah.
Even, for example, right now it's the new elections is coming. Because you've been in the industry like the last 20 years.
Oh yeah.
What this industry sees when election year happens?
You know what? That's a great question. It's a great question. We've definitely seen people are slower to sign contracts. We're doing not quite double the work for the same amount, but we're doing a lot for the same amount of top line revenue to be earned. People are always a little more resistant to sign contracts especially, in a shaky economy. knowing that there's a presidential election around the corner. So people tend to want to see how that shakes out, because after that comes typically, interest rates and, all that good stuff. So fingers crossed, everything lands up in the right place. And we're able to keep the dial moving. If things go smoothly, I would anticipate that we see a much better year in 2025 and 26 for people being willing to open their checkbook and sign projects off. Should they not, then I think we could see another year like this year that's probably even worse, and then we'll see where things go from there. But either way, we'll make sure we stay prepared.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, definitely. On politics and elections and everything, it's always a matter of how you deal with the problems. You know?
Totally.
It doesn't matter who wins, who doesn't win. You need to be in your shit.
You don't have a choice. You're waking up the next day, you're still paving parking lots. We have to move with it. Obviously, you want things to end up smoothly where the economy's flourishing again, and people are feeling good about signing contracts and all that good stuff. But we'll see. I do think things are pointing in the right direction. A lot of what we've heard from clients is wait till 25. Wait till 25. We're doing the bare minimum, which is good for us. We're still having a pretty good year this year. We'll take a kick-ass year in 25 if that is the case.
No, and what I have learned from you and from being on this business is, for example, remember when I helped you to create the assessment for a company, like a multi-year assessment, like for the next 4 years, this industry is kind of that, you need to envision the future. It's good to have projects for the next 3-4 years.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is one of those industries where you can't just look at what your next job is tomorrow, and if it's got to be what does the next 6 months look like? What does 12 months look like for us now? Moving forward, this time next year, where do we need to be? What does the staff look like? All these different things. What are the things that we need to have buttoned up? As an owner, or a president, I'm no longer the owner.
Yeah.
You need to try to look out for those type of things and just stay ahead of the curve, so we can keep the ship, just steered in the right direction.
No, and that's something that I have learned from, for example, talking with estimators and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes they plan or they present the projects to clients on, okay, this is your parking lot, we can phase it.
Oh yeah.
And we can do phase 1 for this year with the budget that you have. Next year we can do phase 2, next year phase 3.
Oh yeah.
Because clients also need that,
We'll tailor whatever we need to do for the clients to make sense. There's absolutely something to be said for the buying power when you do more at once, especially in our industry, just from production standpoints. But with that being said, I mean, we'll do whatever we need to do to make it fit for the client most of the time, as long as it's within reason. So I love the fact that our team gets so creative and will create, we'll do year 1, year 2, year 3. And I really love doing those assessments too. I think that's what keeps me fresh in the game, at a very basic level in our industry. So I like doing them too.
Yeah, perfect. No, well, I think this was a really, really valuable conversation, because always you need to be focused on the future, on envisioning your plans, but not just professionally with your kids, with your family, with your friends. You need to see further, right?
Oh, totally, man. I mean, that's one of the things is, I got so inundated with going through this transaction, you almost forget about the future, and then it's taken up until recently where I'm really starting to consider more and more, not just business wise, but personally as well too. So it's an ongoing thing that it keeps me up at night sometimes, but that's okay. I like that, and I really appreciate the conversation, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, me too. And I think the people here in the audience also like the conversation. Let us know, what do you think? What are your plans for your companies, for your personal lives? Even here in the comments. And you know that we are in touch on our social media.
Absolutely.
Zach, David.
Love to hear.
And thank you for listening to this episode, and see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.